My first question is to understand from one body to another. What is the typical direction? Heat cannot be classified as any state of matter. It is simply a form of energy. Increase the temperature of the oven. Today, temperature in Delhi Hello students, this is SD Sir from the Temple of Excellence, Vidhyaashram Pre-University, Mysuru. Hope all of you have thoroughly revised and practiced my previous chapter, Motion in One Dimension. What is that I have in store today? The first chapter from the second textbook, a very classical discussion on the most basic property which you had studied called heat. This chapter we caption as thermal properties of matter. Thermal, something related to heat. So we study this as heat properties of matter. What do I actually study in this chapter? I recall whatever you have studied in your lower classes related to heat. Maybe definition of heat, maybe temperature, scales of temperature. You should have studied something called anomalous expansion of water, the different ways through which heat is transferred from one body to another. What did you all call that as? Yes, conduction, convection and radiations. We will study about trade winds, solar winds. So all those properties of heat, thermal properties, exclusively linked with matter is what we study in this chapter. Therefore, my first question is to understand what actually is heat. Can I attribute a proper scientific, a proper physical definition to heat? Although in my previous classes I have vaguely understood, skeletally understood what is heat, but now a conscious effort to understand the physical property of something called as heat. My dear students, it is a matter of common experience that when we stand near fire, we feel hot, and when we stand near an ice block, we feel cold. Is it not? Or during a hot summer day, we feel irritated. It's too hot. A cold winter day, we feel, yes, it is too cold. Consequences of something called as heat. Then, my dear students, what actually is heat? Can I define a proper scientific term to something called as heat. Yes, we make a very conscious effort towards it. Very much before, people knew that heat can be transferred from one body to another, which we tell as heat flows from one body to another. And therefore, very much they idealized heat to be a liquid. Three states of matter, Odirtira: solid, liquid and a gas. Plasma state not required here. People told, yes, heat is the second state of matter, what we call as liquid or a fluid. Why? It can flow from one body to another. They knew heat flows from one region to another, and therefore they classified heat as a liquid. But a scientist called Rumsford clearly ruled out the possibility of heat being a liquid. He told, no, not at all possible. Heat cannot be a solid. Heat cannot be a liquid nor a gas. He very strongly told heat cannot be classified under any state of matter, but it is a form of energy. So Rumsford very beautifully classifies heat to be a form of energy, not a state of matter. Now, what made Rumsford to conclude that heat is a form of energy and not a state of matter? My dear students, when we rub our two palms together, we feel hot. We feel heat is generated on a chill winter day. Just rub your palms together. You feel good. You feel hot. You feel heat is generated. Why? Next you study that is because of friction. The two palms oppose relative motion, or in simple words, mechanical energy is converted as heat energy. So very beautifully you see an example where mechanical energy is converted into heat energy. Therefore, Rumsford clearly says heat is a form of energy which causes the sensation of hotness or coldness in us. So heat is something which makes us feel hot as well as feel cold. Hotness as well as coldness, they are consequences of heat. So heat is a form of energy which will either make us feel hot or makes us feel cold. That is why I told, the moment we stand near fire, we feel hot. And the moment we stand near ice block, we feel cold. Either the sensation of hotness or the sensation of coldness. So then what was light? Again, light is a form of energy which causes the sensation of vision. So heat is a form of energy which causes the sensation of hotness or the sensation of coldness. Now, I started saying that heat flows from one region to another, or heat flows from one body to another. What is the typical direction of the flow of heat? My dear students, heat always flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. Higher concentration to lower concentration. Please to understand this better. The direction of flow of heat is always from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature, or it is always from a hot body to a cold body. I told heat is something which causes the sensation of hotness or coldness. Heat flows exactly like a fluid. Then what is the direction of that heat flow? It is always from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature, or from a hot body to a cold body. Until when there is flow of heat between two bodies, transfer of heat continues until both the bodies attain same temperature, until the temperature of both the bodies becomes same. They attain same temperature. There will be continuous flow of heat between them. Or we say, until the system is in thermal equilibrium, there is flow of heat between two bodies. Equilibrium. Equilibrium means balance. Thermal, heat balance between two bodies. Therefore, understand students, heat always flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. Heat always flows from a hot body to a cold body. Until when? Until the system attains thermal equilibrium, until both the bodies attain same temperature. Until this, there is continuous transfer of heat between two bodies. Now, as I told, heat cannot be classified as any state of matter. It is simply a form of energy. The SI unit of heat is joule. Very much because we have classified heat as a form of energy. Therefore, the SI unit of energy is joule. Therefore, you say the SI unit of heat energy is joule. And the CGS unit of heat is calorie. Very introductive, alva? SI unit of heat is joule. CGS unit of heat energy is calorie. A picture beautifying a person standing near an ice bar. What sensation he has to feel? Coldness. Again, consequence of heat. Now, coming to a most fundamental, elementary concept that you should have studied in your lower classes, temperature. Just can you recall how many number of times in a day, how many number of times in my lifespan I may have used the word called as temperature. Mama, it is too hot. Kindly reduce the temperature of AC. Mama, my chicken is not baked well. Increase the temperature of the oven. Today, temperature in Delhi was -°C. See, I cannot just imagine any number of parameters, any number of situations where I constantly use the term called temperature. So what is temperature, students? Sir, 6th standard definition, sir. Yes, come on. No problem. We will recall it. Temperature is a physical quantity, something which can be measured. Therefore, it is a physical quantity which measures the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. Yen degree of hotness andre degree, magnitude of hotness, how hot a given body is, how cold a given body is. That is because of something called temperature. See, how do you actually distinguish between a hot body and a cold body? Hot iron rod mutti, you pull your hands back. Temperature is very high. If a body is cold, temperature is relatively less. So based on the temperature, you classify something called a hot body and a cold body. Therefore, I say temperature is a physical quantity, a quantity that can be measured, which measures the degree of hotness, amount of hotness or coldness of a body. Or it is also that quantity which indicates the direction of flow of heat between two bodies. A new definition for temperature. It is also that quantity which indicates the direction of flow of heat between two bodies. See, there are many definitions of temperature, something obtained by the 0th law of thermodynamics. Kelvin and Clause's interpretation of thermodynamics. I told heat always flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature, or from a hot body to a cold body. And I told it is temperature which will decide whether a body is hot, whether a body is cold, and therefore temperature is the quantity which indicates the direction of flow of heat between two bodies. The branch of physics which deals with the measurement of temperature is called thermometry. Thermo is heat, metry, measurement, heat measurement. So, the branch of physics which will deal with the temperature understanding of bodies is called thermometry, and the device which is used to measure temperature, very well known as thermometer. And the commonly used thermometers are mercury and alcohol thermometers. So students, in my introductory session today, I have given you the definition of heat, saying that it is a form of energy, neither solid, liquid, or a gas. Heat always flows from a hot body to a cold body, region of higher temperature to lower temperature, until when thermal equilibrium should be attained. Both of the bodies should gain the same temperature. And what was temperature? A quantity which decided whether a body is hot or cold. A quantity which decided in which direction heat has to flow. And how do I measure temperature? Using a device called thermometer. So in my next session, we will jump into the clinicality of this topic. Until then, just have a revise on this session. Thank you.